What's going on, guys? Victor here, aka Behind the Run. This is actually going to be my first shoe review under my own channel. So if you're into shoe reviews and other running related content, please make sure to like and subscribe to help your boy out. I'm going to try to bring you guys all kinds of fun stuff, mainly in terms of cool gear. I've reviewed other shoes such as the North Face Vective collection and some other fun stuff over on a different channel. So if you're interested in checking those out, I'll link to those somewhere right here. Okay, with that stuff out of the way, let's get on with the shoe review of the New Balance RC Elite Deuce. I'm not really going to get too techie with this shoe review, but instead focus more on the experience and feel of this super shoe from New Balance. First, let's start off with the good because there is a ton of it. Right off the bat, these shoes stole my heart because they gotta be one of the best looking shoes I've ever seen. Shout out to New Balance for this Laker inspired color. Not totally Laker colors, but man, this thing looks good and it's gonna pop with some purple and gold. But back to the point. Right off the bat, what jumped out to me was how freaking comfortable they were. They're light, comfortable, and really, really soft and spongy. I cranked out a pretty up-tempo 16 miler right out of the gate just because I really wanted to give them a proper test. And I gotta say, they're absolutely amazing at absorbing impact and just overall really comfy. The next thing that stood out was the fit. I was actually really pleasantly surprised at how it didn't feel too narrow through the midfoot, which is something I find to be the case in a lot of racing shoes and something I tend to struggle with. I think the fit on these is great overall, and I think it's gonna work for a lot of people. My only concern is because of how soft they are, I wonder if someone that overpronates really hard might crush down on them just because of that midsole being so squishy. Overall though, I personally really enjoy the fit. Next up, and probably most importantly, is absorbing impact. Because of how soft these are, I found myself not taking any beating, and I actually woke up the next day after my 16 miler and I did 11 miles with these. I was really surprised about it. I thought it was really cool, and I just didn't deal with my little penguin waddle that I usually have after long extended efforts, which is probably the biggest benefit I've found in these shoes. When you start thinking of 3 to 4 months of training for a marathon, the miles really start to add up, especially when you throw in those long runs. So to have a shoe that can really help ease a lot of that and still be pretty performance oriented, it's just huge for me. If you want to do a downhill marathon, you can stop your search because this bad boy is going to be hit. And for those that are interested, the RC Elite 2 has an 8mm drop with a 28mm forefoot and a 36mm heel. While I've loved running in the RC Elite 2, I am still on the fence about whether they're going to be my marathon shoe or not. So let's break down why. I don't know if it's the stack height or just because of how soft they are, but I just felt like my turnover wasn't as snappy as it is in some of the other shoes I ran in. Firmer shoes give you a little bit more ground feel, which personally helped me with my turnover and my cadence. So it's really just something that I'm having to find the right balance between cushion and responsiveness. The word that comes to mind is snappy. I just feel like these lack a bit of that for being a race day shoe. The next concern I have is more about the durability. These puppies ain't cheap, coming in at $225, and I'm not really sure how many miles I'm going to be able to get out of them. I asked my local New Balance rep how many miles she thinks I'd be able to get out of them, and she thinks I'm easily going to be able to get over 200 plus. So fingers crossed, and if that's the case, then all good. But it is something I'm going to be curious to track just because they are on the higher end of the price spectrum when you're comparing it to something like the Hoka Rocket X, which is $180, or the Saucony Endorphin Pro, which comes in at $200, just to give you some comparison. And lastly, the only other kind of negative with these shoes that I found is more about the grip. While I wouldn't say they had bad grip, I just felt like I had better traction in some tricky areas with some other styles, like the Endorphin Pro, for example. That shoe has great traction through some wet spots, some sandy spots, and I just felt like the RC Elite, I didn't really feel that confidence in that. On the positive side, I do think the outsole is going to just hold up a lot better than the Endorphin Pro because I just chewed those up like crazy. But that's really all there is in terms of negatives. So what's my overall take? I think if you're running a 3-hour marathon or slower, then this shoe might be your dream come true. The amount of cushion it packs while still feeling light and pretty responsive is just really going to help you out as those miles start to rack up. However, if you run 3 hours or faster, that's where this thing's going to get a little trickier. And at this point, It's really going to come down to personal preference and what you value more. Other styles have a little bit more pop and responsiveness, but don't absorb the miles as well. So it's about considering what you really care about more. Do you sometimes struggle after mile 20? Well, maybe this shoe is going to help you absorb some of that grind that goes through miles 10 to 18 and save your legs for down the stretch. That's honestly still something that I'm going to be thinking about as my training for CIM continues to crank up. And oh yeah, I signed up for CIM and trying to hopefully maybe crack 230. I don't know why I just did that, but back to the point. Fingers crossed on that time though. The main thing that I think I'm really going to benefit from with the RC Elite 2 is really going to be in my training when I use these for my long efforts, whether they're a long hard run or a long easy run. The ability to absorb the beating and bounce back after a long run is huge, and something that I think is going to help me get more out of my overall training cycle. So I'm really extremely happy with the RC Elite 2. I will have to figure out if it's something that I'm going to want to use on race day, or if I'll go more of the route to have a little bit firmer, snappier of a ride. But you know, that I'll find out in the future as I test out more shoes. My current rotation currently includes the Hoka Rocket X, the Endorphin Pro, and then also the underrated sleeper in my opinion, the 361 Flame. I'll soon be getting some more runs in a few other super shoes, so I'll make sure to do a follow-up video or maybe just review those separately, and always add little tidbits and comparisons to the various styles. But yeah, that's going to be it for me for this review. If you ran in the RC Elite 2 and maybe some of the other ones as well, I'd love to know what you think and how you think he compares to some of the other super shoes on the market right now. But other than that, thanks for checking this review out. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.